Welcome to the Athena 40 podcast, Conversations with Women from the MENA region. This series is in partnership with NOMA Women Advancement Establishment, a United Arab Emirates-based organization founded on the vision of an equitable world for women. In this series, we are hosting exceptional women from the Middle East and North Africa. They are thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and policymakers. And I am your host, Elizabeth Filippouli, founder of Athena 40, an international platform connecting women leaders.
Meera, it is really a pleasure to welcome you to this podcast series.
Thank you so much.
And would you like to state your name and your professional title?
My name is Meera Al Mheiri. I'm from the United Arab Emirates. I work as a nuclear safety inspector in the Federal Authority for Nuclear Regulation. And I'm also a board member in the Supreme Council for Motherhood and Childhood.
Thank you. You are beautiful, young, talented.
Thank you.
And it's very impressive, to speak with someone who's the first Emirati female nuclear safety inspector. But I would like to go back to, it's not that back for, a young woman like yourself. But talk to us, please, about your early years, your formative years. How was it growing up in the Emirates? You were born in Ras Al Khaimah?
Yes, so I was born in Ras Al Khaimah, which is a northern emirate. And I spent around 18 years of my life over there. It was a great childhood. It was very, very simple. My house actually is near to the mountains. So every day I would wake up and see the mountain from our house. I used to spend a lot of time in my grandpa's farm playing with the goats. And I had I think my first pet was actually a goat. So we used to play over there so much, and we spent a lot of time over there. It was a very simple childhood, and I really enjoyed it. It was very family oriented, very traditional.
I'll interrupt you just to say that I grew up in Greece. So that, landscape, the simplicity and the beauty of that simplicity is very much part of, how I myself grew up. And, that connection with nature and the shepherds with the sheep or goats. It's
true.
So beautiful. I mean,
it is.
You, I don't know, to a connection with nature that is very, very special.
Yes, it is indeed. And I remember every morning, when I wait for the bus school, I would see lots of goats and cows waiting with me. So it was something special to remember, of course.
But in your part of the world, you also have camels.
Yes, true. But I think where I used to live, we didn't see camels passing by unless in certain special circumstances. But it was more of goats and cows.
I'm talking now about, millions of years ago, or rather hundreds of thousands of years ago, not millions. In Greece, there used to be camels and lions. And that was still when, the African continent was closer to the European continent. So animals, had crossed very easily. And that's why in the Greek mythology, for instance, there are mentions of lions and camels.
True. I think the environment was very diverse, but because of the human movement through continent,
indeed,
kind of affected how the natural diversification was reacting to the human presence.
Indeed, yes. So please go ahead and tell us about your family and your childhood.
So we're a very simple family. I only have one brother who's younger than me, 2 years younger than me. And I think because we are only two, I think we were so competitive against each other, trying to get the attention of my mom and dad. And I think that actually affected myself, becoming very competitive and trying to sneak out and find out, how can I get the attention or get what I want with having a competitor like my brother. And
Were you winning?
sometimes, because like we're totally the opposite. Like my brother is very honest and very, direct, and he would like demand everything that he wants with a straight, like very directly. On the other hand, I would like be, a bit sneaky and trying to, find out different, strategies to get what I want. And we would like always like be competing over anything.
I think that it's good. I'm an only child, so I didn't grow up with a sibling, but it does change the way you look at things and the dynamics within the family, how the parents, react, how they're trying to maintain balances, what you learn about yourself and what you learn about the other person, or how to protect your relationship, or how to move on. When you argue, when you have quarrels. So it's good. So a young strategist.
Yes.
And then you are at an age when you're going to select what you will read at the university, right? Who influenced that? What happened there? And was it readings and books or something that you had watched TV, or a person that you met? What was it that kind of made you decide to take the studies that you took?
I think the education system that we had was that once you get in grade 10, I believe, and then you have to choose either a literature path or a science path. And when I was in grade 10, I mean, before that, I was kind of knowing and very confident that I will go for the science path. But I think when I was in grade 10 and I saw my abilities, I felt like, yes, I do love literature, but I'm so great when it comes to math and physics. And I think that was the main driver behind selecting the science path. And I did like physics and chemistry, and they were it just naturally coming to my head. Like I really enjoy doing math. I enjoy, like, my favorite thing ever is mathematical integrations. It just, really makes me so happy. And, chemistry, physics, it gives me like lots of pleasure to understand, how things and how, variables makes numbers, and how triangles go in shape, and how algebra, like all of these topics were very interesting to me. And I think if you're interested in something, you really need to pursue a career in that. And I think when it came to the point where I had to select a university major, I was like, okay, I think engineering would fit best, because I'm very good in those subjects, but I didn't know what major of engineering. I didn't know what engineering is. And to be honest, I don't think I understood what engineering was until I got into the university. And until I become an engineer, I kind of understood, oh, this is what an engineering discipline means. And I was a bit confused, and I was like looking, okay, what type of engineering would I go to? And then I was, okay, then at least I know that I'm going to go for engineering, but I'm going to select a field that is very important for the UAE, something new. And I don't want to just go to the university and then graduate and not have any work opportunity. So I was kind of also occupied by the idea that, I need to graduate and then work in something that I like. But at the same time, I need to work in a field that is important to the country, that is vital. So I had these kind of small ideas here and there. And then I saw the opportunity that the UAE is establishing its nuclear program, and there are scholarships, and if you'd like to enter, I was like, that's a great idea. So I can go to the university, do my favorite discipline, and then I do have also an opportunity to work in a new field. I know nothing about nuclear, but let's figure out with time. And that was the main driver behind selecting my major. And I did enter the university. I did mechanical engineering, and I think with the first courses that I took, I was like, definitely that is me. For some people, they think mechanical engineering is difficult, and I do think the same of their major, but I think it's not about difficult or easy. I think you come with certain skills that make certain subjects more favorable to you, and that's why you're doing better in them, and you feel like they're easier than the other majors.
There used to be this cliche that girls, or young women or women in general, they should not select STEM professions. They're too technical, too male. We should, push our girl towards literature, towards social sciences, towards something which is softer. I don't know the thinking behind that. But how about your family? I mean, clearly you had this natural talent, you had this inclination, and you knew because you could feel it in your mind, in your brain, that this is what you were made to do. But what about your family? And your immediate environment? Were they being supportive or were they being concerned?
To be honest, they were very supportive because my mom was actually mathematic genius. And I think when she told me about that, I understood that, I have that talent from her.
So it is in your genes.
Yes, I think it is. So she was really a mathematic genius. She would solve mathematics just for fun, and I think I kind of had that in me. And she always told me and told my brother, I really want you to be something in the future. She said, I was very tired raising you two, so you better have a great future, and you better take care of yourself and chase your dreams, because no one is going to provide you those dreams. If you want something, you have to go get those things that you want. And I think my mom was clear about that. We should not just take everything as given, but actually appreciate what things were given to us. Like, for example, in the UAE, education is free, healthcare is free. So many things that the leadership and the United Arab Emirates have given us. And it would be disappointing just take all of these as just given and not really take the opportunity to develop on different aspects. So I think that was, the
catalyst.
The way I took it. Yes. And my family were always supportive. My mom was pushing us all the time. And I didn't actually find any objection about going to science, because it was as if it's it's natural, Meera, she's going to go for a science field. It wasn't, I didn't have any objection from my dad, or it wasn't like that. And I think it's a wrong thing to think about genderizing, if that's a word, different areas of knowledge. Because I think women and men, both of them, can do really great, whether it comes to science or whether it comes to social sciences, both of them, or literature. All of these fields, they do have certain qualities that need to be in the person studying them, regardless of their gender. So I think you should follow what your heart desire, what you feel like you want to spend your time doing.
So you are in the university, you have begun your studies. Were you a minority in the class?
Yes, we were a minority. We were a minority because I think mechanical, it was I would say 80% were guys and the rest is girls. But that wasn't because there was an objection. I feel by time, the number of girls, in certain majors, you would see more girls than guys. It wasn't there was an objection for ladies to go into university. No.
In Oxford in 2010, when I did my master's on strategy and innovation, out of a class of 48 people, we were 5 or 4 women. So why? Perhaps because sometimes, as we were saying before, women ourselves are a little bit put off by, selecting a more technical field of study. So I think it's something that it's not, phenomenon that it is in one part of the world. It can be anywhere. I was just going to ask about, your cohort and some of the memories from your university time. Share with us about, classes that you really enjoyed. How was it?
I think the way the university, Khalifa University, is actually one of the top universities, not only in the UAE, but also in the Middle East. And it was back then when I was a student there, it was solely an engineering university. I did not meet any person out of the engineering sphere for 5 years. So I was really influenced by engineering discipline or research and science. And I think when you move on from the school sphere to university sphere, it's actually very different and sometimes shocking, because I remember in the university, we used to have lots of quizzes, lots of midterms and assignments, and then presentations. And we would go to our professors and ask them, please do not, you're giving us too much. And they're like, time management. And I remember that we used to whine a lot for the first couple of semesters, and then until we came to the point where we saw we're just whining, there's nothing happening, we're actually getting more tasks to do. So okay, let's go with it. And I thank every professor who pressurized us during those years, because when I graduated, I see how disciplined I am. I see how great time management abilities and skills I have. I see how they taught me how to get things done, no matter what is the pressure, no matter whatever is going on, just go there and get it. And I think that attitude that I got growing up being a student at Khalifa University, they taught me how to manage your time very well, how to be disciplined, and how to get things done no matter what. So I remember we used to have lots of projects, and we used to stay in the labs very late until the security guard would come and say, you have to leave. And we used to do so many things at what time, and at the same time. And I think that made us multitasking and being able to work under pressure very well. And every time I take now projects very easily and, more calm than others. And I feel like if I didn't go under this huge pressure in the university, I wouldn't be like this. And it's not only me, but I see this also evident in lots of my colleagues from Khalifa University. They are reaching really great milestones in their professional career. They are shining, and I always see ladies and gentlemen, both of them, they're doing really great. And I feel like I'm very proud that the kind of the teenagers that got into the university, how we became really effective members of the society. And it just makes me so happy. I'm very grateful for the university, for my professors, for my colleagues. It's a great memory.
I think what you mentioned about time management is absolutely crucial, because we live in a world which is quite demanding. At the same time, it's very interesting, especially when you have your hands on, a lot of things, because you're interested in many things. It is very, very important to, in a way, just to try and visualize it, create like drawers. At this, time of the day, you need to dedicate, 2 hours to develop your thinking or read more or become better in your area of expertise. And then you need to dedicate 1 hour for your physical well-being, perhaps go to the gym or do something that, will improve your fitness. So it is very, very important to understand the value of time management. For an additional reason, I remember I had been invited to speak at a conference, I think it was in Beijing. And in any case, it was Indra Nooyi. So one of the most successful Asian businesswomen, the CEO of PepsiCo for years. And I I remember her words that have always stayed with me. I mean, I'm talking about 10 years ago. She said, if you want to succeed in life, you need to work 10 times harder and be 10 times faster than your competition.
Sure.
And
Sure.
that phrase, Meera, completely changed the way I was thinking. I mean, by nature, I'm competitive, but in a sense, competitive with myself rather. So
Sure.
I always want to take myself to its next stage, test my limits and find new limits.
Yes, true.
And I can understand that you are like that. So this, and that's why I'm emphasizing on it, because we are having, among our audience, young women and men, and they may be wondering, as you were when you entered, the university, oh my God, how am I going to make it? These are too many things that I need to do at the same time. With good organizing and good time management, you can do loads of things.
Yes, and it's also with the practice. What you just said actually reminded me of things that I used to do in my work. I used to do it explicitly by doing a schedule for myself and see for each task how much time did I take. And I remember certain tasks used to take, for example, 2 weeks out of my time. And then now these tasks actually take 2 hours. So you can see how, with the more practice you do and with more tasks that you get involved, then you become better in doing things. And that's why a lot of people sometimes say you're taking too much tasks or you're working on too many things. And why is that? And I'm like, I want to train myself, because things that used to take from days or even sometimes months, now it can take weeks and days. So the more you practice, the more you do things and you get involved in different, projects and tasks and even hobbies, you will learn something different.
Absolutely. So you have your degree.
Yes.
What is your first professional stint? And do you remember how you got it and what it felt like?
Stint, you mean by first mission, or is it like the first job?
I was thinking of the first job, but talk to us about both, first job and first mission.
Yeah, my first job was actually as an inspector. I recently completed my 5 years anniversary, so I'm really happy about that. And I was thinking about answering this question with my first mission, because it was, as an inspector, you have to go to nuclear power plants to do the inspection. And I was very excited about it. And I was very excited that, finally I'm going to be an inspector and do the job. And I remember when I went there, I actually fall down. I was heat stressed and I felt so bad that, I wasn't able to withstand the conditions of the construction sites. And I was very excited, and then I become very disappointed. And I think I was very sad at that moment that I could not withstand the conditions. And then I was like, okay, if I'm gonna just whine about it and cry about it, there's nothing that can be changed. Let me work on myself. So I started changing my diet system. I started to exercise more and take care of myself mentally and physically. And I was able, alhamdulillah, to actually go back to the site again and then perform my work very well. And I think it was the first memory, but I was able to overcome it.
What you just talked about, I think it's so important, because in most cases, life does not unfold exactly the way that we're planning it.
Exactly.
Or expecting it. And
Yes.
I think it is one of the key lessons in life to be able to adapt, to adjust.
Yes.
I mean, currently, of course, all of us are going through this crisis, the coronavirus crisis, which is a major, a bigger threat for absolutely every human being on the planet. And inevitably, we have no choice but to adapt to everything that we need to do or think and act. But what you just mentioned is something that beyond any other bigger threats out there is something that we are called to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So do please tell us, how did you rewire your mind, your thinking into changing yourself in order to become successful in circumstances which were more difficult than you originally expected?
Yes. I think like growing up again, there were so many instances where I didn't feel comfortable. And I would say like I would have only two choices, either whine about it and just cry about it and nothing would change, or actually think, okay, I can have my crash moment and I can feel sad about it and I can, get all of that negative feelings out and express them very well. And then I can stand on my feet. And I think many instances happened. This is one of the instances. Another instance was when I was chosen to be a member of the youth board for the UAE government. It was my first ever interaction with a policy and strategic sphere, and it was very difficult for me because I was like, I don't know anything. I spent 5 years doing engineering, and it's a new field. And I said like, okay, Meera, you were chosen for a reason, and you are the link between the government and the youth. So there's no time to say like, oh, I don't know. You need to figure out a plan B. And when I said like, okay, that's enough. I'm gonna work and figure out. And when I did figure out, I actually got more confident. I was more involved in so many projects, amazing projects, got to know so many people and got to change my perspective about so many things. And I feel like if I stopped at that moment and said, I don't know, then I wouldn't have the amazing experience that I had for 3 years. And one thing also, which happened actually a couple of weeks ago, was I'm doing my master's in international affairs, which is totally on the end of the two spectrum of knowledge between engineering and international affairs. And my last exam, I actually failed my last exam, and I had a chance for redoing the test, and I felt very disappointed. And I felt like, what I'm doing to my life, why am I pursuing this? And, my professors are so tough in King's College, and, I think I'm not gonna continue. After I got all my drama out, I was like, okay, Meera, you got on this because you love it, you enjoy it. I know you're not the A++ student in the class, but you're learning. That's, what matters. So, okay, let me do. And I actually got up on my feet. I spent 8 days doing the research, and I submitted, and I felt like, I hope that I succeed this time. So, life will always throw things at you, but I think it's about the mindset of how to react. And I felt that, okay, I failed for a reason, because God is trying to teach me other things that are important, other aspects of looking into knowledge, other aspects of interaction with the literature. So I felt like this is another opportunity for me to actually train my research skills and to get more knowledge. So when I looked at it from that point of view, it was giving me more strength to overcome. And by the way, it was my first ever exam to fail at, and I'm an A++ student. So you can imagine how hard it was for me to accept that reality. But, I got over it. Hopefully I succeed this time.
I think that it is very important to be focused on the mission.
Yes.
And it's a long way. There are battles, and there are battles that we're going to win, and there are battles that we're going to lose. And there are setbacks that we're going to suffer on the way, but these defeats, if you like, and the lessons that we learn can be sometimes more valuable than a victory.
Sure.
Because they prepare us for our next steps, and we become wiser as we go along. Because it is not about the knowledge as such, which is extremely important and it is fascinating, but it is the wisdom that we
Sure.
acquire on the way, right?
Absolutely.
So at 27, Meera, you are the first Emirati female serving as a nuclear safety inspector in the Federal Authority for Nuclear Regulation. This is serious. This is important. And I want you to talk to us about your routine. What is it, what's the reality of it?
It's actually very technical, I would say, and it was, and it's still a very challenging job to do. But I think I am very blessed, alhamdulillah, by having the best minds from around the world. We're a very international entity. We have experts from a lot around the world, and they're always there to help me, and I always look up for them. Whenever I have a problem that I'm facing or I need help in doing something, I would always go to my colleagues asking them, questions. And I have so many mentors among these colleagues who help to guide me on in doing my job better. And I think we do receive a lot of continuous training and continuous education to help us also thrive when it comes to our job. Being the first Emirati, I think because the field itself was very new, that we still did not get the national talent to take positions. We were just graduating, and then we joined the workforce in the nuclear field. So I was the first because it was new. But then, alhamdulillah, we do have lots of women being or taking similar role, even more senior. And for example, two of my colleagues now are working as resident inspectors in the site, which is a very challenging job, but mashallah, they're doing that. Many of the cohort for training in our entity was actually fully being filled by women, whether it's in nuclear security, nuclear safeguard, nuclear law and legality. So I think women are getting into really major and very critical jobs, not only in the nuclear field, but also in different fields. And I think there is a lot of focus from the leadership on STEM positions and technical roles, whether for men or women. And I think that's amazing, because you feel like I think having that encouragement from the policymakers, it makes you feel encouraged, especially if you look up to those leaders.
Do you ever come across stereotyping and unconscious bias, which is something that, again, I think it happens in every profession, every industry, and absolutely every culture? What's your experience?
I think I did come across many stereotyping, especially that, I am Arab, I'm wearing hijab, I'm Muslim, I'm a woman, and I'm too young. So sometimes that would affect the way that I am being perceived. And but I think I did have so many instances where such a stereotype was actually broken or smashed, I would say. And I think it actually started, I think it should start from within, because people will perceive you the way you perceive yourself and perceive others. So I think once you kind of stop for a moment and say, okay, how do I perceive myself? Do I perceive myself as weak? Then people would perceive me as weak. Do I perceive others as weak and not understanding whatever they're saying? Then of course people would perceive me the same way. So I think the first step to overcome stereotyping is first to know how you see yourself and why you're seeing yourself. Is it childhood traumas? Are these kind of enforced perspectives from others that got into your subconscious and made you see yourself this way? Once you fix that, I think then it is way much easier to not be stereotyped and also take chances. So, and I think in my entity, there were many instances where I was pushed to do, for example, a keynote speech for international organizations, or to replace the director general in a board meeting for international organizations. And I was like wondering why would my leadership would do such a thing, but I felt like, oh, that's because they want to break that stereotyping of women can't do it, or women are too young or too soft to do it. And at the same time, so I was very, alhamdulillah, grateful for the leadership of the entity, for them to ensure that women are present and they're taking great roles in different departments, and actually breaking the stereotype that women might not be able to do it.
I was actually listening and hearing you talk. I was wondering if there was a book, or if there was a poem, or if there was something that inspired you and influenced the way you think. And I'll give you an example, from myself, which is a poem by Kavafis, a Greek poet of the early 20th century. And he was living in Egypt, because there was a large Greek community in Egypt. And the poem is called Ithaca. And the whole idea is about the journey in life. So Ithaca is a Greek island, and Odysseus, Ulysses, in ancient Greece and ancient mythology, set out to explore the world. So he went on his vessel and he started traveling the seas and exploring the world. And his dream, his vision, was to go back to Ithaca one day, his birthplace, and be able to communicate his knowledge and be able to settle back with his family. So the poem is about the importance of the journey, that it's not the destination Ithaca as such.
True.
That is the dream that you have in place, the vision, which is your compass, and then the experiences that you gather in life. That was a very long way to ask you if there is a poem or a book that has influenced your thinking.
Yes, I think I do read lots of books, and I do get different perspectives from my readings. But I think one of the best books that I still can't get over, and when you look at that book, you would see lots of sticky notes and lots of highlighting. It's the Reflection on Positivity and Happiness by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid. And it has lots of wisdom in it. And you can know how such a great leader is thinking, and how he transformed Dubai to the city that we know today. And I think he touched upon so many challenges that he went through, so many stereotyping, and so many difficulties that got in the way. But he didn't stop on those obstacles, on those problems, or he did not let different perspectives influence him, but he rather walked on, straight to that line, straight to that mission towards his dream. And I think it gives me lots of hope and lots of, you can reflect back and see yourself and say oh, so Sheikh Mohammed, the ruler of Dubai, actually went through these difficulties. You feel like there's you can reflect the same situations in your daily life, and it's written in very simple words, and it can get to the heart of everyone. And once you finish reading it, you'll feel like you can do anything. It's so much positive, and it's not positive doesn't mean that you'll always be smiling and laughing. That's just totally a wrong definition of positivity. But it's actually seeing the goodness in every bad that happens to you, the goodness in every challenge that you get, the goodness from every problem that you face. And I think that's very important, because you can get the best knowledge, you can get the best skills, you can get the different experiences, but if your mindset is very narrowed and focused on negativity, you will never get anywhere. And so I think it's very important to have that mindset kind of nurtured and developed in a positive way.
What is your vision for the future, for your country and for the world?
Inshallah, I think it will be a great future. I think we do have lots of opportunity that need to be explored. And I think each person of us need to know that we are brought into this world to serve a mission, to do good for ourselves and for the people. And that good would be different according to the jobs you do, according to the roles that you take. But the ultimate purpose is to bring goodness for yourself and for others. So I think it's very important to have that purpose embedded within you, because it will make sure that you do the best that you can do as an effective member in the community and the world. So I keep hearing, like natural resources are scarce. There are so many tension between countries. We're living, in a kind of confused world. But I feel like, we need to relax, and we need to work with each other rather than in a rivalry. And I think if we have that purpose of doing goodness to ourselves and to other people, then I'm 100% sure that we can create a better world for others.
I have found our conversation to be a fascinating one. And
Thank
you are
you,
a fascinating person yourself. Is there anything else that you would like to add, a message?
I think, to be honest, I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that women in general, and men as well, never stop following their dreams, love more, help others more, and be more sympathetic to others. I think if each person of us is doing that, then I think we would create a better world, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Meera. I wish you the best. And I'm sure that with your passion and your dedication and the values that you live by, we are going to be hearing more of you in the years to come in all positive ways.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Athena 40 podcast, Conversations with Women from the MENA region, brought to you in partnership with NAMA Women Advancement Establishment. If you want to get in touch with us, please email us on info@athena40.org. That is info@athena40.org. For NAMA's work, please visit www.namawomen.ae. Keep well, stay inspired and motivated.